Hi Nat5, so this is Transport System in Animals and we're looking at the heart cycle. Okay, so the heart cycle is the process of where the blood flows in and out of your heart. And your heart is quite a complicated system, and I'm sorry, but you're going to need to know quite a bit about it. You're going to need to know the names of the 4 chambers, the names of the 4 blood vessels that are coming in and going out of these chambers, and where you have valves inside the heart. And that means that you're probably going to have to go over this several times. So what you have here is quite a efficient system. You have oxygenated blood, so that's blood which has got plenty of oxygen now added to it, coming back from the lungs, going to the heart, and then going out to the body. But then you have a kind of second circulation system kicking in. Once you've been to the body, bringing the deoxygenated blood back from the body through the heart and then out to the lungs. So it's almost like a figure of 8. Okay, so you've got your blood coming in to the heart from the lungs, then going out to the body, and then it's coming back in to the heart and then out to the lungs again. So you've got a kind of 2 loops going on, and that's the tricky part. So you have 4 chambers in your heart. At the top we have 2 chambers called the atria. Okay, so these are both atrium if we're going for our singular, and atria for plural. And all these are doing is collecting blood. So they're these ones up the top here. So they look much smaller. Okay, they're little circly ones. Now I tend to remember that we have 2 A's at the top, and then we have at the bottom 2 ventricles. Okay, and the ventricles are these ones down here that look like V shapes. So that is how I get that, and that's how I have a little heart shape. Okay, now the ventricles are the ones that do the actual work. They pump the blood. The atrium collect it, ventricles push it. Okay, and you'll notice that these are not the same size, and we'll come back to that in just a minute as well. So you need to know right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium, left ventricle. You also need to know which way the blood is going. So the blood is going from the atrium to the ventricle, and then from the ventricle out. Again, A comes before V in the alphabet, so if that helps, there you go. So this is a cutaway section of the heart. It's as if you have sliced it through and you're looking straight down at it. Now you'll get lots and lots of different diagrams of the heart. I would recommend looking at some of the ones in the past papers. What you need to be able to do at all times is identify your chambers, find them, find the blood vessels, and find the valves. So let's walk through the full heart cycle here with all of the named bits. So starting off, we have blood coming back from the body in the vena cava. Now this one's been drawn with 2 because we have the vena cava coming back from the top of the body and coming back from the bottom, but it might just be drawn as 1. So this is coming back with deoxygenated blood. The blood has used up all the oxygen that was inside it. It goes into the right atrium. Now that's just collecting the blood and then pushes it through the valve into the right ventricle. The right ventricle then squeezes, and this is the one that actually has to squeeze reasonably hard. So it squeezes the blood out and it goes up and out through another valve to the pulmonary artery to the lungs. Okay, now that's the first half of the cycle. So what we've got here, we've got this named blood vessel, vena cava, you need to know is a vein. Okay, we've got the right atrium, we've got a valve, and we've got the right ventricle, and then we've got another valve, okay, pulmonary artery, and we're going to the lungs. So you need to know where this is going. Arteries always go away from the heart, veins come back. Okay, arteries are also at high pressure because they've just been squeezed out from the ventricles, and your veins will be at low pressure because they've been round the whole body and they've lost that pressure. Okay, right, so that's your first half. Your second half is to come back from the lungs, and you're going to come back from the lungs in the pulmonary vein. Okay, so veins are coming back, but this time we now have oxygenated blood. And then we're just going to do the same thing as we did on the other side. So this time we're going to go into the left atrium, through another valve, to the left ventricle, through another valve, out through the aorta, which is the main artery to the body. Now there's a couple of things about this. So being clear again, we've got, here's our named blood vessel, there's our chamber, left atrium, through a valve, okay, left ventricle, through another valve, and aorta. Okay, aorta is an artery, it's going away, high pressure. What's really important about the heart structure in here that you can actually see is that we have this wall is substantially thicker than this wall. And that's because this wall has to push the blood hard enough that it can get all the way out and round to the entire body. If you think about the right ventricle, it just has to push it to the lungs. And if you think about where your heart is in comparison to your lungs, you know, it doesn't have to push as hard. So the right ventricle wall does not have to be as muscly as the left ventricle wall. Okay, and all the blood that's gone out to the body will end up coming back into the vena cava, and then we start the cycle again. So you need to be able to do a pathway from any point in this cycle. You might need to go through it a few times. So your main vessels, vena cava is bringing your deoxygenated blood back from the body in here. Your pulmonary artery is taking deoxygenated blood to the lungs. Your pulmonary veins bring oxygenated blood back from the lungs, and your aorta carries oxygenated blood away to the body. There are your four. So this is the surface of the heart, and you can see the aorta here. This is the aorta here. The blood that's coming out of in the aorta needs to be actually split off so it goes to all the other organs. And the first organ it actually splits up to deal with is the heart muscle, because that muscle needs to be supplied with oxygen and food and everything to keep it pumping. So this split here, you can see it branching off, little tubes branching off from the aorta. These are the coronary arteries, and this is the other one that you need to know. Okay, and they supply the heart muscle with oxygenated blood. And then you can see veins here that are all, these are the blue ones, they will all connect back up, and they will connect back up and join into the vena cava, this bit here, and that will go back into the right atrium. Valves, there are four, and you just need to know where they are and you need to know why they're there. Valves are really important. They stop the backflow of blood. Okay, and so you have one between each atrium and ventricle because you don't want it to go back up the way into your atrium, and then we have another one between the ventricle and the main artery that is pushing out, and that's us. You're going to have to go through this several times, I would think, but you need to know everything in there. Okay.